About representing Latina women over 40. Karen now focuses on empowering women to find love and success through speaking engagements, TV projects, and her Dating Over 40 segment on Univision's Elle News Cafe. Without further ado, let's welcome Karen to Fabulous Women Over 40. Hey,
Thank you.
Karen.
Hi, Kara. Thank you so much for having me. I am very honored to be sitting here with you and speaking about all things wonderful and fabulous.
Thank you for so much for taking my invitation. I appreciate it. So let's get started. What five words would you use to describe yourself today?
Describe myself. Oh my gosh. I am a humanitarian,
Hmm.
compassionate, fun,
Yes.
um, ha- love life. I have joy for life.
Yes.
Um, and in wonderful woman. I think it's an amazing just to be a woman in general. I was
Yes.
about to say mother, but I'm a woman first.
Yes.
I wouldn't have been a mother without being a woman.
That's so true. You can't have the chicken without the egg, right?
Yeah, yes.
So you grew up in Manhattan. What was that like?
Manhattan, I don't remember so much of it because I was little when we left to South America. I was young,
Mhm.
but I mean, I love reminding everyone, especially in my family, when they're like, "Well, I was born in Queens. Well, I was born in Brooklyn." I go, "Oh, but I was born in Manhattan." And people will actually question me when I say, "Where are you from? Where were you born?" I say, "Manhattan." "Manhattan?" And I go, "Manhattan, yes." So, just, I love, like, just kinda being playful on that little bougie side.
Right. Why not? We are
So
bourgeois central here.
yes. So, but I love it. I get excited. I was just there last month. My sister and I took my mom, as a, Mother's Day gift. She wanted to go to, New York, and I was
Nice.
just there, and I get all excited and a little jittery, and I'm like, "This is where all it all began, Manhattan. I love it." So,
What's your
yeah.
favorite restaurant in Manhattan?
Oh my gosh. It's gonna be the same one, well, one of my favorite Miami, there's so much, and I know it's kinda cliche because everyone likes, they go there, and I know it's like all the celebrities, but I love Carbone. Oh
Oh,
my god,
yes.
their spicy rigatoni pasta. Oh my gosh, I go and I eat for like 4 people when I go there, and their hazelnut cake and their branzino and their they give you all the little the before they give you the little things that you eat, the little cheese and the olives and the bread, and I just love going to Carbone, so I really love that, and then also any rooftop in New York
Yes.
City. Oh my gosh, I just love it, so it doesn't even matter at that point which rooftop it is because 'cause you're just getting that view.
Right? Like
Yeah.
the rooftop views are fabulous. There was a Hilton I used to stay at in the Fashion District. It had an
Yeah.
amazing rooftop restaurant
Mhm.
and it was so fun up there. Oh my
It
gosh.
is, it is. It doesn't even matter, like, where it is in New York, you're gonna have a great time with some drinks up there and a little food, and you're looking at that city, which is so magical. I
Yeah.
mean, there's very few places like New York, but you do feel that energy.
It's definitely a vibe. Let's
It
just
is. It is. It
so
absolutely is.
what part of America did you grow up in or
It
where you did you live in for a period of time?
Yes. So we lived in Quito, Ecuador, which
Okay.
is the capital, and my father is Ecuadorian, my mother is Colombian.
Okay.
And so we moved there, and I lived there until I was 5 years old, then came back to the US. And when I came
Hmm.
back, I did not speak any English.
Okay.
I don't even think I knew how to say my name in English. So, and I had to kind of jump into kindergarten immediately. And it's funny because a lot of people will say, "Well, I can't catch your accent. You don't have a Miami accent. You don't have a South Florida accent. You don't have a New
Mhm.
York accent." And I'll say that's because who actually taught me how to speak English was, you're gonna get a kick out of this, was three things: Sesame Street,
Mm.
Captain Kangaroo, and Mr. Rogers.
Yes. All
My
shows I
mother
watched.
Yes, my mother would put me, she's like, "You have to go to school in 2 months," and that was every day my assignment was to be in front of the television and just listen to them and listen to them,
Mm.
probably within 6 months, I picked up English. I mean, because 'cause you're so young, you pick it up so quickly. I picked it up, but, that's who's sometimes I'll say, like, someone will say, "Oh, you really pronounce your A properly," and I'm like, "I don't was it Mister Rogers? Was it Sesame
Hard to
Street?"
say, right?
Yeah, when they were sounding out the vowels, you just don't know.
They were all really good shows, though. I mean,
Yes, I know. It's great educational shows. Yeah.
yeah, I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So, what was your family life like? How many siblings do you have, and are your parents
So
still living now too?
yes, I'm very grateful. I was actually this morning. I when I wake up, I my gratitude list and my affirmations,
Mm,
and I was very excited because yesterday I said thank you. Thank you. That yesterday was Father's Day, and we were able to
mhm.
celebrate with my father, who is going to be 80. So I'm very thankful. I have both
Nice.
my parents still alive,
Yeah.
and I had my siblings were here. So I'm one of four, and I'm the third.
Okay.
And so, and we all live, they all we all basically live within 30 minutes of each other.
Nice.
So yeah, we're very close. I come from a very close knit, um, my parents raised us, what happens to one happens to the others. You take
Mhm,
care of each other.
mhm.
At the end, they always say, when we're gone, you guys are what you have for each other. So you have
Right.
each other's backs.
Yeah.
And so I'm one of four. I fall third in the, in the age of who was born, third of four, and super close. I have a sister she's 7 years older than me, but my sister is my best friend, my
Mm,
confidant. My I am to her as well. We're have a beautiful relationship. She's my best travel partner. She's my best
nice.
sidekick when I do my television stuff. She's the one. I call her my sister
Oh,
sister instead of manager, my sister instead of
that's
momager or
sweet.
manager. She's my
Right.
sister. She's always there for me. And I have two brothers. So my sister and my brother are older, and then I have a younger brother. And we're just extremely close, tight knit, Latin Catholic family. And
Hmm.
just, I love how I grew up with many cousins. It was always, 30 of us at a weekend together, and whether it was a beach or someone's house. So it was really, I can't complain. Obviously, everyone doesn't have a perfect childhood, but it was,
Yeah.
very good childhood of very good
Hmm.
memories. Even during the tough times, my parents never, you obviously the kids do realize things, but my parents never wanted to make sure we knew. They always took care of everything. And
Yeah.
and so yeah, I have really good memories of growing up. Thank God. So yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
what would you consider the best part of your childhood, and then what was challenging for you?
I think the best part of my childhood was just having the closest with my siblings, and then
Hmm.
having the closest with all my extended cousins,
Okay.
which was wonderful because my mom had two of her sisters living here, and then each of them had, two children. The other one had four children. So we were, all always, and we all hung out together. Those
Yeah.
those were my first friends,
Yeah.
were the cousins, and being able to grow up. And probably, I think the most challenging for me was we were only at that point in our little neighborhood, we were the first and only Hispanic family.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a little challenging. It was us, and then the other one that was, say not per se the neighborhood, it was us, the only Hispanic family, and there was another family that they were the only African American family.
Hmm.
So we were the only kind of the two minority families in this neighborhood. So that
Right.
was a little challenging, but I guess, once the neighbors got to know us, and it was nice. I grew up in a nice, called Miramar, Florida, and a nice little
Mm-hmm.
community. And then, you go now and it's a melting pot. I've passed by now. I moved out, oh my gosh, so many years ago. God, over 35 years ago, 40 years ago. But when we moved out of there, now you go and it's a melting pot, and it has every kind of nationality. And to see that
That's
that
cool.
became that, it's wonderful. Yeah.
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 Did you know that you wanted to be on television when you were young? Did you think you had a penchant for that?
I wanted so badly to be Marie Osmond. I wanted to be Marie Osmond with Donnie.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I actually found it was funny because I think I moved out of my childhood home. I think I was 17 or 18. We finally moved out.
Hmm.
And going through everything, I found some letters to Santa Claus. And there was a letter in there that I must have been like 6 years old, asking for a Donnie and Marie cassette recorder, or like a little player.
Oh,
And I
that's
guess
so
it
funny.
Yeah, and I remember having it, and it had a picture of Donnie and Marie on there, and it wasn't like you could even put a cassette in, it was like their little songs already into this little CD,
Right.
not a CD, this little cassette thing, and I would carry it around with my little microphone, and I knew I wanted to be Marie Osmond. Whoever Marie Osmond was, I wanted to be her.
That's funny. I mean,
Yeah.
it's interesting to look back and see what we thought we were going to do or wanted to do, and then how close we landed on that, later.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
an interesting
Yeah.
thing.
And I was definitely I was so determined to become Marie Osmond. And then music has always been the motor of my heart, no matter what, even from a
Mm-hmm.
young age. And I have also the blessing of that I had that sister who was 7 years older and a brother who was 6 years older.
Mm-hmm.
So I was exposed. There's a lot of people will say, you know, so much music from so many genres from times that not even your time, that you
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have been music during your time. And I said, the thing is that I had those siblings that were older and not
Right.
much older, but music that does entail, people will say, how do you know this? And they were listening to that music. So
Mm-hmm.
I got that experience, and it always, music has always, just like I said, motor of my heart. It's really driven in me. And even now that I have nothing to do with the music business, oh my God, if I wouldn't want to be in front of a stage and be on the mic, but behind the scenes, wow, that gets me going because I love seeing things done from the conception to the reality
Right.
and seeing artists rise up. Yeah. So I
Mm-hmm.
just love that. So I definitely knew music for sure.
Was there anyone in your life that kind of encouraged you to follow that dream, or were your parents or siblings aware that you wanted to be Marie Osmond?
Oh my gosh. My parents have always been my biggest cheerleaders.
Nice.
They've been amazing. They've always backed me up. My dad was a huge, I always say he's like my biggest fan.
Nice.
They both solely encourage me, but my dad is like my biggest fan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and no matter what, like he would meet different people, in the job that he had in his profession, and he'd be like, "Oh, I got a daughter that sings." It had nothing to do with music or even entertainment business, but he would meet entertainment and people, in that business, and he'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, I have a daughter who wants to be a singer," and just introduce me to people and any opportunities that people would tell him about. So definitely, my parents have always backed me up, and they wanted to see that dream become a reality for me.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
So, what advice and encouragement would you give to someone who had similar aspirations? Or would you tell them, don't go into this business? Or, like, here's what you know if you insist on going into that type of business?
Yes. So fortunately for me, or for me and the other two girls that I was in the group, I ended up getting signed on to Latin label, and we toured. I started when I was 13, but finally the record came out. We recorded with which was at that point was one of the biggest production groups called the A Team,
Mm.
and we recorded with them. We were signed onto a label from Venezuela, but the American division was Sonotone Latin Records. We toured through South America, Central America, through the US. And back then it wasn't the Latin explosion of the Ricky Martin yet.
Oh,
Grammy explosion happened and oh my God, the world became, oh, there's Latin artists out here. It was really in the US, it was just like Los Angeles, Chicago, Dallas, New York, New Jersey, with
mm-hmm.
Miami, obviously, which is what we traveled in,
Right.
besides Latin America, for the US. And fortunately for us, our record label, um, I we were aware, but we didn't experience firsthand the bad part of the entertainment world.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, because we had an amazing management team, and they called us the girls. The girls always had a bubble around them. No one could get near the girls. And
Right.
back then, a lot of how a lot of artists would travel besides doing your own tours is you would travel, like, let's just say iHeartMedia would put on
Mm-hmm.
a whole tour, and you would go on that whole tour with several
Right.
artists.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like 5 artists on one billing, which we did quite a few of those. And but our record label, our management, our tour manager, oh my God bless him, he was 21 at the time. I don't know how he put up with us, but I think that's why they got him so young to put up with us. Um, yeah, and then we need a chaperone, and my mom was hired as our chaperone.
Oh, that's good.
It was good. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was like, "Oh, we didn't get away with anything." But the good thing is that I know some other people that were in the music business that at the time that I was, that had a lot of bad experiences. We
Mm,
never had that bad experience because we had that bubble of the
yeah.
girls were always protected. So if anyone would say, do you want to go into it? I would say absolutely, because I never had a bad experience in the music
Hmm.
industry because we were so protected,
Right.
thankfully.
Yeah.
But my advice would be definitely keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. Um, dream. When someone tells you, sorry, you're not going to make it, keep going. I always use the example of, I don't know if I'm familiar with him, but I mean, going back to Latin artists, and there's a million artists this has happened to, but right now he is dominating the Latin music industry, which is Bad Bunny. He was
Mm-hmm.
he bagged groceries at a supermarket.
Yeah.
He would try to sell his music, and they were all telling him, the record labels, you're a nobody, you're not going to be anything, you don't have any talent. And
Yeah.
the man is selling out stadiums and is one of the highest grossing artists. And if he would have listened to
Right.
that one man that sits, or that one person that sits behind the desk that has a degree in accounting, and someone decided to give them the president of A&R of a major label, though they have no knowledge of music, but oh, they have a degree in law, so they must be good in music.
Yeah. No.
Wink my eye. He would have listened to someone like that who doesn't know what the population wants at that. He'd probably still be bagging groceries in Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
so don't let anyone deter you from your dream. If you know and you feel in your gut you have it,
Mm,
um, definitely go for it, and just keep your eyes open and make sure that when it doesn't feel right, you say, okay, this is not feeling right, and
yeah.
walk away. Yeah.
Because we're seeing a lot of examples now with the whole Diddy thing and
It's
all of
crazy,
that
crazy.
stuff. I mean,
That
obviously, people in the industry have been talking about that for years, but
and
now
no
it's
one listened.
yeah, and now it's like a big thing. And I mean, and even with like Justin Bieber, like he
Yeah.
had a similar story, kind of to Bad Bunny, where he would sing at talent shows, and
Yes.
and then he just started recording stuff on YouTube, singing other people's songs, and then that's when
Mhm.
Scooter saw him on there and tried to get in touch with
Yes.
him and all of that. So yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
even after he came to the U.S. and they tried to shop him, they were like, "We don't know who your audience
Yeah, who
is.
your
Like,
audience is.
we know you're talented, but."
Mhm.
And then he went back to Canada and said, okay. And when he was going to be on the radio, he literally would get on Twitter or whatever it was and say, "Hey, I'm gonna be here," and then, "Hey, I'm gonna be here," and like one person would show up, then five people showed up, and then he
Yes.
literally created his own audience, and
Yeah,
there's thousand believers now, millions of believers. So gotta
absolutely, and
believe
that's
in
what you have
yourself.
to do. Yeah, yeah. Even
Yeah,
even just now, even just in social media, people will say, "I feel so dumb doing this or putting these things up," and I'm like, "Listen, there's someone watching, and all you need is that one person." Like you just said, Scooter Braun believed in
exactly.
him, where he even put out to his last penny to invest in him.
Yeah,
So you need that one person to believe in you,
it's
definitely. Yeah.
so true.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, what was your first job, and like, what did you do, and how much money did you make? Besides your
Listen,
singing career, like, did you have an actual job, or that was your first job?
that was my first career.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my first
What
career.
did you spend your money on when you got a little in your pocket to
First
jingle
check that
around?
we ever got.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I was so excited. I went and bought this huge sound system for my bedroom.
Mm.
That back then it was like it had the record player on top. It
Oh,
had the two I can remember it. It was in this wooden cabinet thing that it came in, the two
yeah.
cassette players. It had CDs, which was CDs were something brand new.
Right. From the tape decks that we grew up with.
Yes. And I got like upgraded speakers. Like I thought, I don't know what I was outfitting, like a whole house or something in my room. But
Right.
that was the first thing I went and I got. And again, it led back to music
Hmm.
that I spent
Right.
my money on, was that. And I see it now. And I think it was like from Sony or something, but I was like,
Mhm.
ooh, and I bought this with my own money.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Is there anything you think you would do differently if you had a time machine and you could go back to your younger self? Is there anything you would change or tweak a little bit?
Yes. How quickly I said that, yes. When the group we broke up and there
Uh-huh.
was no longer a group, the record label offered me a solo deal. I was so burnt out. So I thought
Mm,
in all of my 18 years of wiseness. I
right.
just felt I was so burnt out that I had worked so hard all this time and we were so on tour and traveling and
Mm,
recording and I just couldn't take it anymore and I wanted some time off. My parents advised me against it. They said, "You leave the industry, you will be forgotten within 6 months, if not
mm,
less."
yeah.
You're crazy, no one's going to forget about it. The doors are open. I'm burnt out. I ended up taking a spokesmodel position back in South America
Mm-hmm.
for Coca-Cola, and then FIFA World Soccer then gave me another contract from that, and I
Mm-hmm.
worked there for a little bit. I would have listened to my parents. I would have taken that record deal.
Mm-hmm.
Probably would have stretched out my time in recording the album.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying, okay, I'm going to now immediately come out with the album, let me just take 6 months to record, but it's still going to be out there. My name is still going to be said. The
Right.
record label still going to make sure I'm relevant. When I came back from South America, sure enough, you're talking about a year and a half later, you're done. The record people, they've moved on. The labels have moved
Yeah.
on. They've gotten a new solo girl, the it girl, the hot girl, whatever. They moved on.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult. And though I tried to get back in the industry, I still had great connections, obviously. And my musical godfather, may he rest in peace, was Johnny Ventura, which is a legend in the Latin world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, came back to help me, and I went to Dominican Republic and stayed with him and his family, and we recorded over there. Um, what we call not we call an EP, which is the long play. Back
Extended
then,
play.
as EP, it's just
Mm-hmm.
kind of like that's what you're shopping with, and you're shopping your deals with to the labels. And recorded five songs. Um, it was just so much more difficult to get my foot back in the door and have those meetings with Sony and them say, no, well, we have so and so who's just like you now. And then you go to EMI and no, we have so and so, and no, we're not looking right now for a female because you've
Mm-hmm.
already given so much time. And in the music industry, people say, well, a year and a half is not a lot. In the music industry, that's a long time.
Yeah. That's like
That's a
5
long,
years.
that's like 5 years and 30 girls that just came up behind you and had their
Yeah.
opportunities. So I would
Mm-hmm.
I would have said, yeah, I'm going to take this opportunity that I have instead of thinking that, my 18 years of wiseness. And I would have gone back and had that. And but flipping the coin, when I did come back to the US, I ended up um, shortly afterwards, maybe I don't know, maybe like 8 months afterwards, 6 to 8 months afterwards, I can't remember the time. I
Mm-hmm.
met who would be my husband.
Oh, okay.
And so I fell in love. And the flip side is, out of that marriage of which I am divorced, but out of that marriage came the most beautiful and amazing two children. I like to call, they are my Oscar, my Grammy, my People's Choice
Oh,
Awards. They are, every award you can imagine in the industry.
right.
That's what they are to me. So I say, on the flip side, sometimes it's not your plans, it's always God plans.
Yes, for sure.
So yeah, I know your plans can be whatever, and it's God has a different plan. So that's what came out of it. And I think if
Mm-hmm.
I know if I would have taken that, the act
The record deal.
the record deal, that I wouldn't have my two children, because my life
Yeah.
would have went in a totally different direction. So I have
Mm-hmm.
to look at it that way and say, okay, and that they are my biggest blessings, and my the
Yeah.
biggest accomplishment I have ever had in my life.
Everything's always working out for
Yeah,
you.
always, absolutely, everything's always working out.
So, what's the best part of being a mom, and then what are the challenges you've had with that?
I think the best part of being a mom is I get to be their safe place. I get to
Mm,
be the one that is there for their happy times. I'm there, the one that is there for the times that they're down, their sad
mm-hmm.
times.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I have seen both of my children grow into just incredible. My daughter now a young woman, and I'm seeing my little boy become a young man,
Yeah.
and just seeing what you mold and what you kind of. I always say, so my big thing is, people will say to me, like, my daughter just graduated college last month.
Mm-hmm. Well, congrats to
And
her
thank you. Yes, I
and
know.
you.
Oh, So proud of her. Yes, no, I am, because it was an accomplishment between my daughter and I. So that got her through college. And I look at them and I say, I always say, people say she's looking for a job now, and people, she's applied in different, like she's applied in London, she's applied in Phoenix, and the people are like, oh my God, you want her to leave? I go, I don't want her to leave, but she's not mine.
Yeah.
She was, God lent her to me
Yes,
to
it's
steer
true.
her, yeah, in
Mhm.
the right direction. Do I want her? I would want her living next door to me because we have an incredible relationship.
Yeah.
But that's not for me to say. She was
No.
only lent to me. I need to make sure she's on the right path. Because I always say, God forbid if I should not be here, I need to know that both of my children are on a path,
Right.
and you try to steer them on the right path and pray they will stay on that path.
Right.
And from there, you really can't, because you can't, everyone has their own life. So,
True.
I think that's been just really a great blessing. And the hardest, um, I think, just doing a lot as a single mom and having to do both roles. And I don't
Hmm.
like saying having to do the mother and father role, though they
Right.
have their father in their life. I've had to step up a lot more, where I think it should have been a joint effort between
Right.
parents and not
Hmm.
just me carrying the burden of a lot. But I do it joyfully. I do it with a
Right.
full heart, because at the end of the day, um, I see the closeness that the 3 of us have,
Hmm.
and that to me is important, very important.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, and before we spoke, before we started recording, we spoke a little bit about, my childhood, and like I said, my parents raised us and my 3 siblings to what happens to one happens to the rest,
Hmm.
and once they're gone, they're what we have in this world, that,
Hmm.
from your childhood, that from when you were,
Yeah.
your conception, when you were born. Yes, you have, yes, you have a partner, and yes, you have children, and that moves on to that. But at the end, I always tell them the same: you only have each other at the
Hmm.
end, whether good or bad. I'm no longer here. Your sister needs you, you need to be there. Your brother needs you, you need to be there. So I see that closeness and that bond that they have, that sometimes it's funny, because they'll pick on me, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm the mom here, don't gang up on me." So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's definitely I will say it's a joy and a challenge being a single mom. I mean, I was
Absolutely.
for 20 years until I got
Mhm,
remarried, but
mhm.
because you have to do everything. But if you don't do it, it doesn't get done. So there's no, people are like, how do you do it? How do you
Yeah.
not? Like, you just have to figure it out. I mean, I don't know.
Yes.
What else is there?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, and I do say the person that comes into our lives, it's got to be someone pretty special, because,
Mhm.
they have to fit in. So if my children love them, then definitely it's the right person.
Oh, and it will be.
Yeah, yeah,
You'll get it right this
yeah,
time
yeah,
because
yes.
everything's always working out for you.
It's always working out, and at the end of the day, I always say, "Mom, we want you happy. We just wanna see you happy. You deserve to
Mhm.
be happy." Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, what do you love about being on My Mom, Your Dad, and how fun was it to have your daughter on that with you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I love that, I got to get I didn't realize I wanted to be, or that I would have enjoyed being so much, back into the spotlight, because
Mm-hmm.
I had basically retired over 20 years from it.
Right.
So, I was not in front of the camera, and then to be back in front of the camera and going up, so my daughter was on the show with me, but not on the show with me, because we lived in one house, the parents lived in one house, and the kids lived in one house.
Okay.
So it was 2 separate households, and once they separate you, you have no phone, no internet, no TVs. You
Mm-hmm.
are in your own bubble in that world,
Got it.
and the only people that are there are your castmates that are on with you, which would be the other parents. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I always like to say, not and only, like, your head of your producer would talk to you, because you would even say good morning to, like, well, and the person who mics you up, because you would even say good morning to, like, the other people on the set, and they would just smile, because they couldn't interact with you. You're, like, basically in this world.
Right.
Um, so it was fun. My daughter's the one who got me into that. It was a show about finding, second chance of love for your parents. So your college age student finds their parent a second chance of love.
Mm.
And it was during the pandemic that my daughter found this ad on Instagram,
Okay.
and she came to me to it, and I told her she was out of her mind crazy. This is I was And it was a generic ad. I didn't realize the production house was ITV, which is a huge production house,
Mhm.
or that Greg Daniels is the executive producer and creator of this show. They didn't tell us any of this. And Greg Daniels, if you're not familiar with him, he's the executive producer of The Office and the creator of Parks and Rec. So it's, he's
Got
a
it.
big name in Hollywood.
Mhm.
We didn't know the streaming service was going to be HBO Max. It was just very generic. I said to her, it's some guy sitting in some little basement in Ohio wanting pictures of women. Are you crazy? You know? So, so she just said, Mom, we're in the middle of this. It was 21. It was 2021. Mom, we're in the middle of the pandemic. We're doing nothing inside these four walls. At that point, I wasn't working, my job ended at that point. They're homeschooled at this point. And she's like, we're doing nothing. I go, okay, go ahead. And it was like, send your picture and your name and your age and a little bit of background.
Mhm.
Sent it, and we got a phone call like within a few days to have our first interview with them. Like they want to do a Zoom interview. So and then you started realize that's when I found out, okay, the production house, but then they wouldn't let you know who the creators were or who the streaming house. They wouldn't let you know a lot of stuff. I think they didn't want you to know the concept of, and we didn't know this, and the kids didn't know this until they got into their own house. Yes, you're helping your parent find a second chance at love.
Mhm.
They told us that they were going to have the kids on there to kind of steer the dating consultants
Hmm.
to help them help you find your match.
Okay.
What ended up being was they were actually the dating consultants.
Oh.
They were looking at us in closed cameras for 16 hours a day, watching everything we did.
Lord.
When the
You're in a
parents
little
had no
fishbowl
idea.
and you didn't know it.
Exactly. And so between them, they were the ones saying to the producers, I don't want my mom with this person. I want my mom with that person. Make them go on this date. Then they also had to do their own challenges to win dates for us, or be able to, they called them medals, win medals, which were, they were able to medal into our love life, either make romantic settings or either disturb a date that we were on.
That's
So
wild.
it's of course, and you're looking, I mean, Greg Daniels, if you look at The Office and Parks and Recs, it's a very quirky and witty and cringy show. So that's
Right.
was kind of translated into My Mom, Your Dad. The host was Yvonne Orji, which she's amazing, from, Insecure on HBO. She's fantastic, and so many other things that she's done. So she also, gave a breath of fresh air into the show as well. So it was fun, but as the only time I ever was together with my daughter on the camera was when she was dropping me off at the house, which was like
Okay.
the camp. And I called it man camp at that point, I called it man camp. I was going to find my man camp. And she dropped me off. And it's funny because the producers were like, are you nervous? And I'm like, no, actually, I'm not nervous. And meanwhile, I have like 10 cameras in my face, but I'm like, I love this. I was back in my element.
Yeah.
And it
So it
wasn't,
was
and
cool for
yeah,
you.
and even the conversation with the other ones on the show, they're like, I'm so nervous, and I'm feeling the cameras, and I'm like, I don't see anything.
Yeah.
So again, everything happens for a reason. Everything's working out for you. My
Yep.
experience in the music business and being in front of the camera prepped me for being able to film the show and not even notice that there was cameras around. So,
Yeah.
it was really it was a really a great experience. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Did you find love on the show?
I did find love. I kind of found love immediately.
Nice.
I'm a person that, if I vibe with you, like, then I'm going to start getting to know you.
Right.
But I made an instant connection. Well, we made instant connections, and
Mhm.
there was another one that kind of interested me, but I was like, no, this is my number one guy. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it was good. And we even, we lasted even after the show ended. But it's hard. It's hard long distance.
Yeah.
We did last months afterwards, but it is hard long distance. And at one point, you have to pull the trigger and say, who's making the move? Are we moving this forward? We're adults already.
Right. Let's figure it out.
What are we doing? We're in our late 40s. Where are we going? And yeah, but no, we remain friends, and I would not change him as my partner. And I always say that was my partner that I would not have been able to do that show with. So it was good because you're actually, I like to call our cast, we still have like a group chat, and we still talk to each other.
Mhm.
I always say we were bonded by trauma bonding. because that's the only way to say it, because literally when everything you know is taken away from you and you are cut off from the outside world 100%, like we could have started World War III and we wouldn't have known because they weren't going to tell us anything. um
Yeah.
yeah, and you're that's all you have to talk to the whole day and interact with. It's kind of your trauma bonded. So
Mhm.
and sometimes, and some of the people that you say, well, in real life I might not have even given them a chance to be friends with.
Right.
And all of a sudden you've formed this bond and you are friends and you say, wow, how stupid of me that I wouldn't have looked outside my little box of what I normally go for, whether it's partners, whether it's friendships,
Mhm.
or even having deep conversations with someone.
Right.
And you said, because we're trauma bonded, because we were forced into the situation, I have
Mhm.
so much in common with you.
Well, that's super cool. And you so
Yeah.
there's still people that you talk to,
Oh
even
yeah.
yeah, a lot of
Yeah, and the kids as well, and they have their own chat and they have their own friendships on that. So it's we always say we all have to, we just haven't gotten our schedules because we all have to get together. That it would be amazing, but I think it's like 19 of us together and we're like, what house? We got to rent like this huge like Airbnb like mansion.
well, what a fabulous experience to have.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard similar stories with different other, Love is Blind, some of these other ones, how all that kind of stuff works. So
Yeah.
interesting to, hear about the back side of that.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and then once you find your kids were the dating consultants, because a lot of weird things would happen while we were filming, and we'd be like, "Why is this happening? What kind of dating consultants did they hire for us? Like, are they really like, what do they get?" I'm like, we used to like Dollar Tree. We used to call them Dollar Tree dating consultants. We're like, they're like Dollar Tree dating consultants. What are they doing to us here? Turns out it was our kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, we feel like they know us somewhat, but then again, I mean, I can say with my own kids, it's
Mhm.
like they know some, but it's almost impossible to know all because they haven't been with you through everything, right? They've only been
Yes,
with you in a certain consciousness of, maturity after a certain age. So,
absolutely.
it's kind
Yeah.
of hard to gauge how well they're going to be able to do something like that.
Yes,
But I
yeah.
think it was a fun science experiment.
Oh my gosh, yes, and I think on the flip side is, I think the kids found out some stuff about the parents they hoped they would never find out. So,
Yeah, probably.
in conversations that we had and like, "Oh, I didn't wanna hear that. This is really cringy. I don't need to see my parents do this or talk about this," and
Yeah.
so, yeah, so it was,
Mhm.
on the flip side for them. I think they also found out a little too much about the parents, but hey, it all worked out in the end. And it's been a great run for the show. We've been in so many other different countries,
Yeah.
and it's fantastic. And I think I told you before we started, super excited a few days ago. It actually, the whole season came out in Ghana, which is like, oh my
Nice.
gosh, we're in Ghana.
Yeah.
You know, you're like,
That's
so
super
many
cool.
people. Yeah, I think it's like 6 countries already. It's been released out in, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
So that means there's some good interest out there if they're
Yeah,
doing that. It's
yeah.
not they don't do that in a for no reason.
Yeah, and they've had some spin-offs in other countries, I think like Norway, and so it's really cool as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, and you told me that you've become a dating coach. So how did that
Mhm.
parlay?
So that actually parlayed through my mom, your dad.
Hmm.
So, in being on the show, obviously, I was put again in front of the spotlight. I
Hmm.
received a lot of press, and then from that, you get followers, and you're given this platform on social media,
Right.
and which was something kind of new because when I navigated this during my singing days, there was no social media.
Right.
You're talking to reporters on magazines and on TV and newspapers, so
Hmm.
this was totally different. And with the social media, I was able to build this platform through viewers, and it just became amazing. And I started getting all these direct messages, DMs saying, asking me about dating and
Hmm.
advice. And so when the show ended, I said, what am I going to do with this platform? I'm not going to go away. I've been given this opportunity of a platform to help people.
Hmm.
And so I did my own dating over 40 series for 6 weeks, and I got the best experts that I could find in psychology and dating and relationship,
Hmm.
and did a 6 week program live on Instagram once a week, and it went over very well.
Nice.
And yeah, so and because of that, I had one of the relationship coaches say to me, Karen, you're really good at this. And the conversations that we had, and you seem to know a lot about relationships. Why don't you get into this? And I
Mm,
said, the reason I have a lot of knowledge is I am huge on self awareness and self growth and healing.
right.
And I had just gone through 5 years, 4 years going on five of intense healing from the last relationship I had had,
Mm-hmm.
and also then healing from my marriage that I never had a chance to grieve. And I really, really just threw myself into it. And then on top of that, throw in the pandemic when I was ready to get back to dating in 2020.
Right.
God had different plans and said, "You're not ready, girl." Because I remember it being so clearly March 1st. I was like, I'm ready. March 1st, 2020. I'm ready to date. I've been through like a year and a half of healing. I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to go. And I think it was March 16th, the whole world shut down.
Pretty much.
So
March
God, I went on
20,
I
yeah.
went on one date, I think, and that was it. God was like, I got different plans for you, girl. So
Yeah.
then being 2020, you're in these four walls, no work, because all of my work, I was back then I was a booking agent,
Mm.
and
Hmm.
all festivals ceased. All
Right.
everything. There was that
Nothing to book
we were the
now.
first ones to fall down. So I was really just at home. I really was intensely like doing 2 courses a day, reading books, meditation,
Mhm.
working out, yoga. I mean, it was just, it's crazy, which is wonderful because again, everything happens for a reason, which has led me into how I am every day, how I wake up every day and do my affirmations and do my gratitude list. And I still love to be able to go on retreats and heal. And back
Mhm.
then, everyone and their mother was doing retreats online. So whatever retreat was online, I was taking them. I was getting into them. So I had said to him, I told him, well, this is why I have a lot of knowledge. So
Mhm.
he kind of helped me and he steered me as to where to go, and went and got certified and took the courses. So that's where that became. And then I started getting some clients. And then that kind of parlayed into that. And then I'm kind of like, if you look like on my social media, it's funny because I'll do like some kind of like smart aleck little the reels that you do like to get the attention. But then once you read the post, then it's the serious stuff. Like,
Right.
yes, just because you got to grab the attention, you can't be all serious. So I kind of like I do it always with a side of humor.
Mhm.
And it's worked out great. And from the show and from that, Univision, which is the Spanish major network,
Mhm.
came to me and said, "Hey, we'd like to have on the morning show, we'd like to have a segment of dating over 40. Would you be interested in being our segment contributor?" And I
Nice.
was like, "Absolutely." So
Right. Not turning nothing down now.
yes. So I love doing that. And then from that, getting other things like even just being grateful. Look, I was able, we reached out, we connected, and
Mhm.
getting on your podcast. So
Yes.
everything happens for a reason. It's just sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but each step,
Always on
yeah,
God's timing.
always, always, always. So, each step leads to another, I always say. So that's how I got into it and I got certified. So if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it right.
Right.
Got certified. I've had some great clients. And I love it. I'm huge. Like I said, I'm a humanitarian. I love helping people. I love
Mhm.
seeing, especially, listen, both men and women, but especially women. I love seeing the growth. I
Right.
love it. I'm a girl's girl.
Yeah.
I love seeing growth in them. I love seeing someone say, I can't, and then they can, and they do it. And
Right.
I'm like, yes, you can do this. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I really love what I do, and being able to do that as well.
That's so
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So you were telling me also about your platform celebration.
So it's
Tell,
how,
tell us a
yeah.
little bit about that.
So Celebration After 40 is a platform. I've started first gearing it more towards women. A lot of men have come on, so now I'm gearing it towards both sexes.
Yay.
Yes, is just celebrating everything life after 40. Somewhere along the line, someone said that our life ended after 40, that we were done, that we was downhill. Like, nope, it is actually the best second half of your life.
Yeah.
You have the experience. Um, I personally
Not
think I
12
even
anymore, hopefully.
yeah, you're not 12. Yeah. I personally think I'm in better, better mental state, emotional state, even physical state than when I was
Mhm.
20 and I didn't know running around in circles. And you just don't know. You think you know it all and you don't.
Right.
And so it celebrates all things over 40, but especially getting your life back, whether you just come out of a long-term relationship, divorce, whether it's your children, now you're an empty nester and you and your husband don't know each other anymore,
Yeah.
whether you have a great marriage, but you kind of lost yourself somewhere. I had a woman, which broke my heart, telling me that she was lost. She still was married, didn't know who her husband was anymore. Her last child left. She didn't know how to find herself. She was also really down on herself. She said that she felt that she gained a little too much weight and that her husband wasn't attracted to her. So she actually became a client. It wasn't so much for the dating. It was more of like the relationship for herself.
Yeah.
It was getting back to herself and getting that relationship for herself. And I think having a relationship with yourself is the most important relationship you can have. Because if you don't have that self-love, if you don't have that self-respect, if you don't have those boundaries for yourself, you're not gonna be able to have a great relationship with anyone. I don't care how great the guy is or how great the woman is.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen.
It's true.
You need to have that. So we were able to get her back on track, get her, on a nutrition program, get her back to, a lot of self-help work that we did. Because that's actually, even in my dating clients, my first few sessions, we don't even delve into dating. We start delving into yourself.
Right.
And because I always say in a relationship, yes, one person can do something to sabotage that relationship, but it's a 50-50 dance.
It's true.
So there has to be something, not that you may have done wrong, but where did you lose yourself maybe in that process?
Yeah.
That the person looked at you in a different way, not putting any blame, but you kind of lose yourself sometimes. It happened to me. This is not something I opened my eyes and said, oh my gosh, I know this. This comes from all of my work that I've done. And being able to self-reflect. So, and that was like one of my better success stories. And she's happy and she's married and they're great. And now they do their date nights and then she also has her own time, which she didn't understand that she needed to have her own time. She needed to also give her husband a little space to have his time.
Yes.
And then they have their together time. And so even that helped. He even said, thank you so much, because now, he may go out and play golf with the guys or whatever, and she may go off and with her friends, and they come home and they're able to share what their day was on their own private day or whatever, and things that they learn. Yeah. So, and she found
feels resentful because
exactly, which happens so much in relationships. Like for me, when you get into a relationship with me, I straight off tell you, I have my trip I do. It's called the cousins trip. My sister, my cousin, and myself.
Yeah.
I have a sister trip that I do, which is just my sister and me. And I'm talking about like week-long vacation somewhere. I also have where I take my children, and then I have a solo trip that I do alone. And this is like independent from any trips I may do with my partner.
Right.
Like, and when I do my solo trip, I'll check in the morning. Like I am disconnected. I will check in like, good morning, good morning, good morning. And I go off the grid. I go off the grid. I journal, I meditate, I swim. If I want to eat a croissant at 4:00 in the afternoon, I do. If I want to have a mojito at 2 in the afternoon, I do.
Right.
It's all about what I want to do.
Exactly.
But I come back as a better mother, as a better partner, as a better daughter, as a better sister, as a better woman.
Yes.
So I'm off the bat. I'm so huge on being not necessarily independent, but being your own person as a woman and being your own person as a man and coming together then as a couple. So
yeah, and I don't know about your parents. I think our parents are probably about the same age. My dad, I think, will be 79 this year, and my mom's 78. So what I learned from them was, once you have kids, got to be all about them. You don't have fun anymore. And I'm thinking, like, are you crazy? If I don't get to go off and do something, I will be crazy, and that's not going to impact them well. I need the time to go off and rejuvenate myself and get a break and get my mind back into some sort of good space, because you just need that. And so I've always lived by that, even when they were like, I'm like, I don't care, you think what you want, say what you want, I'm going.
yes and absolutely. And I think my parents are from that mentality also, and even till now. But my sister and I will be quick to be like, Mom, let's go. We're leaving for a week. And we whisk her off, like I said, we went last month to New York, we took her to New York City. So we're quick to do that. So
probably like, why didn't I do this before?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Because even when she would go visit her family in Colombia when we were young, she would take us. What kind of trip was that for her?
Yeah.
With kids. No. Now it's like a different, that we're adult women and we're taking her. It's different. We're treating her. And basically my mom is like a queen, so,
so that,
Yeah, so we, have her on a pedestal during the trip. She's like, Queen Sheba, what do you want? We make sure that she's treated very well and she had a great trip. But back then, yeah, that's the mentality of back then. Like you didn't do those things.
Yeah.
Or if you did, it was, growing up. It's funny. We have a joke on running joke in my family between the cousins and my siblings. We can sleep through bombs. We can sleep through music. I have slept many of times with shows going on around me,
Yeah.
DJs full blasting,
Oh
on
wow.
airplanes. It doesn't matter. I can sleep anywhere because back then you didn't take away time from your kids, but they kind of needed their own time. So what
Hmm.
would happen is between my 2 ounce houses and two friends and my parents, they would rotate a Saturday night and they would have their own little dance parties
Ah.
till like 4 in the morning though. And all the kids were in the living room falling asleep at midnight, 1 o'clock. And that's what
Oh, so
you
you're
need to sleep.
trained. You're
Yeah.
trained.
Yeah. So, music to us is like full blasting and they'd be dancing. So, that's how they had their own time. But again, why did that happen? Now any of us can sleep through anything. So,
Well, that could be great and a little terrifying at the
I
same time.
know.
If
I
something bad
know.
was happening.
Yes, I know. My daughter will say, Mom, you didn't hear. I go, I didn't hear anything.
No, out. No,
Yeah.
done.
Yes, exactly. But I did the same with my kids, not the dance parties, but what I did with my kids, and they can sleep on planes, they can sleep anywhere too.
Hmm.
I people usually say, "Oh, the child is sleeping, be quiet, the baby." Oh no, I would vacuum, I would play music.
Yeah.
I would do everything to her. My kids now, they know they'll sleep through anything also.
Well, and
Yeah.
I think they need, you can't have that sort of thought, even though,
Yeah.
because sometimes it does take them a while to fall
Yeah.
asleep, and you're
Yeah.
like, finally.
Yeah.
But like, they need to be able to to have stimuli and not necessarily respond to it, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, they
Oh
need
yeah, yeah,
things need to be
yeah.
going on, and they aren't, like
Yeah.
shocked by it or wake up screaming or whatever.
Yes.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm the stereotypical mom that you see the memes on Instagram. It says when your Latina mother on Sunday and you see her, it's at 6 a.m. and they're vacuuming in the room and they're saying, "Get up, it's time to clean." I'm the one vacuuming at like 8 a.m. in the room on Sunday, and they don't even lift their head up. They know like, oh my gosh, my mom vacuuming right now. They just keep on sleeping. So
Well,
yeah,
that they learned well.
things
Well,
have to be done around the house.
I mean, what are you gonna? I mean, I won't vacuum at like 9 o'clock at night. I don't want to disturb the neighbors either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, if it has to be vacuum, it has to be vacuum. You'll live. You'll
Yeah.
live.
Yeah. Yes.
Nothing's
So,
bad's gonna happen.
yeah.
It's all good. So tell
Yes.
me what are some shows you're watching or books that you've been reading lately that are really making an impact on you?
Oh my gosh. Well, the book that I'm reading right now, and I'm gonna get the title wrong, and I I think it's called What Mostly God Does. And not to get like so I'm though I was raised in a very Catholic household, I'm not religious per se. I'm very spiritual.
Same.
So yes, I do. For me, I believe there is a God, but you know
Hmm.
what? If you want to believe, as long as you believe in something, I say you can believe God, Jesus, Bob, Judy, Brett, whatever you want to call it, the universe, it doesn't matter. As
Yeah.
long as you have your own name, but to believe there is something higher guiding us.
Hmm.
Um, so for me, it's God, but it's called What
Yeah.
God Mostly Does. It's not per se a religious book. So Savannah Guthrie, who's the co-host of the Today Show,
Hmm.
she wrote it and it came out.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so it's really good. It's yes, it does dive into religious, but it is more of a spiritual book. And
Hmm.
the things that God does, like what everything happens, like we said, everything happens for a reason.
Right.
So it's you're always in the right path. So that book is really good. I'm reading that.
Hmm.
Um, so I that's what I'm reading right now, which I love. And shows, so when I watch TV shows, I want to get lost in a world completely. Like I don't
Right.
even want to know what's going on in this world. So right now I love, love, love. And oh my gosh, I want it back. And now we have to wait for like a year and a half, 2 years. Bridgerton. I love Bridgerton.
Oh, my daughter loves that.
Oh, I love Bridgerton. I love the like because I'm huge romantic. So the love stories and I love it and all that goes on. So I do love that part of it. And then I love, you're gonna laugh at me, the Latin soap operas
Oh,
and the drama and the the craziness of that. So for they're Colombian or they're from Mexico, and I love those Latin soap operas. But because I like to get lost in that world. And then also I'm not, when I like go on my walks that I exercise, I love listening to podcasts, and that would be, Joe Dispenza. These are just things like
Yes.
now, like for self growth. I love Lewis House for business stuff. Obviously, and Joe Dispenza is motivational,
Yeah.
and just, people don't understand that we are a vibration. We are,
Hmm. Hmm.
if you are in a foul mood, you're going to have a foul day. If you
Yes.
change that mindset, it's a different day for you. So I love those type of podcasts.
Hmm.
um and just listening to that, Louise Hayes, I love that. There's just so many
Yes.
that I always kickstart, every once in a while, I need that little booster. I love seeing The Secret.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'll just put it, like, to remind myself.
Right.
I love doing once a year, and I'm actually in the middle of it right now. I do, it's from The Secret. It's called The Magic. I don't know
Okay.
if you've
Yeah,
done it.
I have that one somewhere.
Okay, have you done it?
I haven't read it yet. I have it. It's right here in my thing, and I
Oh,
have
you
the Power too.
yes.
So I have both of those.
Yes, yes. Okay, so you have to do The Magic,
Okay.
and it's an easy 27, I think it's 27, 28 days. I'm in the middle of it now.
Okay.
It's like my fourth time doing it because I do it once a year.
Nice.
And when I tell you, it gets you back on track. It gets you back on track, because
Okay.
I'm huge about positivity. I'm huge about, everything is connected. I'm huge in vibration and
Hmm.
what you put out there. So definitely, and it's listen, it's going to take you 10 minutes in the morning. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all. Once you get past a little introduction, a few pages, that's all you're going to have to put into it. 10 minutes in the morning, and you're going to feel
Nice.
so much better. So I do highly recommend that. So I think those are the two right now that I'm reading, and then my mindless TV that I just escaped from, and then my podcast that I'm always listening to.
Well, I want to share this one book that I read just recently.
Yes.
It's called The Golden Key.
Oh, I haven't
It's
heard
real
that one.
short,
Okay.
thin, but I love it. It's
I'm gonna
it's
read
very
it.
bite sized, and I
Okay.
got the recommendation from Jacob. Oh God, what is Jacob's last name? He's on YouTube. He's this funny guy, and he
Okay.
lives in California, and God, I just love him. Jacob Glass. Jacob Glass.
Mhm.
So if you're looking for somebody new on YouTube to follow, he's funny. He's kind of temperamental because he'll put up stuff and then he'll take it down, and
Okay.
I don't know. He goes through his little moods, and then he'll
Uh-huh.
put it back up. Like now he has one up called "How to Manifest Like Jesus."
Oh, okay.
So good. But yeah, he had this book on there, and then my husband and I just finished watching the couples therapy. It's on
Oh,
Prime, but
uh-huh.
it comes through Paramount
Okay.
subscription kind of way.
Mhm. Yep.
But it's this season 3 just dropped, and the therapist on there, her name is Orna. She's amazing. Like,
Okay.
and it is reality, but it's not like the drama kind of reality. Like she so
Yes.
intensely listens to these couples and
Mhm.
hears everything that they're
Mhm.
saying and that they're not saying, and it has a profound impact on them.
Yes.
Literally, we were watching it, and I'm like, oh my god, that's what like we had all. It was so you have to watch it. I think it'll
Yes.
even help you with your clients because
I
just the
love
way that
that.
she is
Mhm.
she embodies listening.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's
Yes.
a thing but whatever.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
she's not one of those people that constantly. I've had a lot of therapists because I've done therapy my whole life too,
Mhm.
and you'll get some people that just sit there and listen and don't have much to say, and then you'll get
Yeah.
some people that are constantly telling you about theirs. I know because this and that,
Yes.
and I'm thinking
Yes.
like, ma'am, this is not your therapy session.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
she doesn't do that. She'll literally just be like, "Can you tell me more about that? What do you mean by that?" Like she really digs
Yes.
into it and doesn't let people get away with saying just offhand stuff or not answering the question, and really gets into it because she really cares and wants to help
Yes.
them. She's really invested in their success as a couple.
Okay. Which is wonderful. And I love that. So, three things I took away from what you just said.
Okay.
I love when you said, that she really listens to them,
Mm-hmm.
because a big part of relationships, whether it's romantic, whether it's friendship, whether it's their child, a big part is you're not just listening to them to say, I got to say an answer. I got to say it.
Yeah,
What am I?
to respond.
I respond. People have to really hear what people are saying
Mm-hmm.
and digest that and take that in. And
Exactly.
that is a huge part of communication.
It is.
Communication is not just speaking. Communication is also listening,
Hmm.
taking it in, and understanding what they're saying to you
Yep.
before you want to shoot it out. So I love that you said that she does that.
Hmm.
That's A1 in therapy, because yes, there's so many people
Yeah.
that, oh, but I went through, and I'm like, exactly like you. I'm like, hold up, I'm not talking about you.
This is not about you, ma'am.
Yes. And then the number two that you said about manifestation,
Hmm.
um I am huge on manifestation.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that, manifestation is you wishing it or wanting it. The most important part of manifestation, what I've learned through my study, is your vibration
Hmm.
of what you think. We are energy. So if
Yep.
you're feeling crappy, but you want to get that new job, that's not going to happen. You have to really embody and feel that vibration, that
Hmm.
you have that dream job, that you already are in that position, and put, as hard as it is, because it's almost like that fake it till you make it inside,
Yeah.
but you have to not fake it till you make it for other people, almost for yourself to be feeling that inside,
Right.
and get yourself to feel that. And I believe you can manifest. Little side story that we talked about before,
Hmm.
that I had told you that when I was a singer, I had been asked, is there anything else I would want to do in my life?
Right.
And I said, no, singing has been it. Well, what about, let's just say you want to be an actress. Who would you ever want to ever be in a movie with? Back then, the only two that I would say, that I said at that point, I said, okay, let's play this game. Tom Hanks and Morgan Freeman. Come last year, my daughter and I were given the opportunity, were cast out of a fluke. We didn't audition or anything. They came to us uh, with a major motion picture that's coming out called Gunner Man of War,
Hmm.
and it is starring Morgan Freeman.
Oh,
So,
wow.
it may have been a delayed manifestation, but I manifested Morgan Freeman.
Right. Well, but nothing is ever delayed, right? Like
Nothing is ever delayed. It's the universe's timing.
it's the timing of your life. So it's like
Yes.
you said this and then it happened. I mean,
Yes.
but it happened when it was meant to happen, where it made sense for your life at that,
At
when
that
you were,
time.
well, what is it? When you were ready, even if you didn't know that you weren't ready before, it would,
Yes.
all the things that you had to go through to get to this point is now when it came, because that's when you were ready for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So those are takeaways that I got from what you said, which
Yeah.
are wonderful. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, this is what they're talking about is what do they call it? Woohoo, or
It's
woo woo, woo woo. They
woo
say
woo. Yes.
that's woo woo stuff. It's not. Once you really get, and I used to think that until I got into it and realized that we are all connected. We are all a vibration.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason, the good, the bad, even the bad things that I have been through, the tough times, or things go, what the heck was I thinking? And why did I do that in my life? I'm grateful for all of them.
Yeah. Because they
And
all made you who you are.
yes, and it always leads you to something better. So,
Yeah.
uh,
And
yeah,
you don't
so
have to believe it,
definitely.
for the naysayers. You don't have to believe in
Yeah.
it, but you're manifesting whether you are thinking about it, not thinking about it, whatever. Everything that you
Yes.
speak is literally a manifestation. You saying, I want to do this, or I don't want to do that, or I think I'm this, I'm not. Like you're already declaring it. Even the
Absolutely.
Bible says, say, choose this day, life or death.
Yeah.
Death and life is in the power of the tongue. You're
Yeah.
saying what you want, what you don't want, all of it, all the
And
time.
people don't realize that.
No,
Yes.
they
Yeah.
just speak random stuff, and then they're like,
Yes.
"Why does this keep happening to me?" Because you keep declaring that over and
Absolutely.
over again.
Yes.
What do you think's gonna happen?
Yep.
So
Absolutely. Yes. So,
it is what it is.
yes. Yeah. So even if
So
they opened up a little bit.
yes. So what legacy do you want to leave the world?
Oh my gosh, what legacy? I want to leave this world with two good human beings that I was able to
Hmm.
put on the right path to, whether it's, you know, do something. As any parent, you want your child to do some great things, but maybe even just touch one person.
You're right.
And that is success enough, to be able to touch another person
Hmm.
in a good way and help them. And hope my legacy is that I have been able to steer two amazing human beings.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got 3 little people too, so I
Oh,
get
yeah,
it.
as moms, what we want. Yeah, for our
Yeah,
kids.
for
Yeah,
sure. So, is
definitely.
there anything you have going on currently that we can support you on? Where can we follow you? Where can people find you?
Well, you can definitely follow me on, I have where I really connect with people is I have Instagram and TikTok, but where I really connect with my audience is Instagram.
Okay.
And that is KMLM21.
Okay.
So that's my handle. Um, and after that, I leave next week. I'm super excited. I'm going to host and moderate an event called Magic Medellin
Hmm.
in Medellin, Colombia, and it is for business leaders and top social media influencers. And
Mm-hmm.
so I have one of the leaders summit that I'm moderating and hosting. So I'm super excited. I'm heading to Colombia for that. And I
Nice.
love Colombia. I was just there a year and a half ago on one
Mm-hmm.
of my girls' trips. And we spent 15 days in the country and different
Oh
cities.
wow.
And Medellin happened to be my favorite city. And I said, I want to go back to Medellin. And also that I'm half Colombian, but that's where I'm heading back is Medellin. So there you go. There's another manifestation
Yeah. Hey,
without a penny out of my pocket.
hey,
So
that's even
yeah,
better.
that's even better. So yeah, so I have that. My segment on Univision News Cafe, El News Cafe, the Dating Over 40, and the movie. You'll see my daughter and me play mother and daughter again.
Nice.
Yep, with Morgan Freeman on Gunner Man of War. So that, and then just every day I do a little bit more and just go on my Instagram and hopefully I'm able to inspire someone to take a step in the right direction for themselves, what they deem right, or maybe I can just make them laugh with my silliness.
Will the conference be streaming? So can people follow that way, or that you just see
Well,
after you?
they could. I'm not sure if it's going to be streaming, but they can follow it. They do it probably is because they have their own Instagram page, Magic Medellin, so
Yeah,
they
I
can
imagine
follow
if
it.
it's about social media people, they'll be streaming
They'll be
somewhere.
streaming, yes. So
Yeah,
yes, so excited about that.
super cool.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah,
you've been a fabulous guest. It's been a great time chatting with you. I'm so excited to have met you, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you and doing some things in the future that, like we talked
absolutely.
about.
Yes, absolutely. And you need to call me when you're in Miami again.
Yes.
But hopefully before then.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll definitely connect. Thank you so much, Kara, for having me on this. Really, I was so enjoyable for me.
Well, great. So thank
Yeah.
you. I'm so happy that you were able to make it and we
Yes,
finally
thank
got it
you.
together.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Well, you take care, and we'll see you next time on Fabulous Over 40 podcast. Ciao.